Welcome to Drinking Bros, presented by GhostBed.com.
Welcome to Drinking Bros Sports Tailgate Legends Show. This is the show where we tailgate with legends. Tonight with us, we have a legend that you guys know, a legend that you've heard before on Drinking Bros, the one, the only, the terrorist whisperer. I don't even know how to fucking say your name.
Nobody knows.
Say it. Say your real. Say your not real name.
Say your government name.
Hamody Jasim.
Hamody Jasim.
Yep.
Hamody Jasim, the terrorist whisperer, is with us tonight, baby, and we are so excited. We are tailgating for the ACC tournament that's coming up. Duke is not doing too hot, and we're big Duke fans over here. So
no, we are not.
Oh, you're not?
No.
You're not a Duke fan?
No, fuck the Blue Devils. Fuck Coach K. He's the only one in college basketball who gets away with cheating.
Oh my
Everyone knows he's been cheating for a long time, but he gets away with it. I don't know how. But one day they'll come and get him.
Something you can relate to is that when you're great and you're on top, people accuse you of cheating. Just like
As a Patriots fan, I do know that.
You should understand
very
that.
much so.
But tonight we are tailgating with the terrorist whisperer Hamody Jasim from Iraq. Sitting with us here in the beautiful United States of America, Chef Puhak over there,
Hey.
Conspiracy Cuisine. You're cooking some Iraq food for this
That's right,
tailgate.
man.
What do you got going on over there, homie?
I am going to try not to screw it up. I had contact with Hamody before.
Has anybody ever said that you look like an Iraqi?
Hey, look at me, man. You like my beard?
I do. Does he
My,
look Iraqi to you?
He does a little bit for sure.
Okay.
My wife has started calling me Mohammed.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the first time I've heard it. Anyways, I contacted Hamody, and I was like, hey, man, what are your favorite Iraqi foods? I want to honor you, dude. I'm really excited for you to be on the show. And he gave me 3, and I picked what I think is the hardest dish, and it's beef short rib and ground beef Iraqi dolma with minted honey, goat cheese, and Greek yogurt, and some khubuz. I don't know if I said that right.
Did he say it right?
Yeah,
How did he do?
He got it right. I mean, honestly, from the way I smelled it, I haven't tasted it yet.
Okay.
He is spot on. It's probably the hardest Iraqi meal to make. This is the national Iraqi meal that you make.
Oh, is
So,
it? The hardest
yeah.
one?
So no pressure on you, Puhak.
I came in with a mushroom stamp for you, baby. Thank you for being on the show.
Yeah.
Listen,
Thank
you've been on Drinking Bros a couple of times.
Yep.
I would
8
say
times.
that- 8?
8 times.
Ocho.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is 9 or 8?
I told my story once, and
It was episode
the rest of it is all
496.
about Iran. I did all the Iran
Yeah,
episodes.
that's right.
Yep.
That's because when all the al-Soleimani and al-Baghdadi stuff was
Yeah,
kicking off.
Iran is like my ex-girlfriend. Every time some shit going on in Iran, I get called in. Literally, yeah.
Is there anything going on in Iran right now?
Always.
Always.
There's shit going on in Iran.
Look,
yeah.
it's International Women's Day today. I was doing some research for the show, looked up the Iraqi Soccer Club.
Yeah.
They actually put out a post today thanking all the women in Iraq.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
Wow.
Is that...
I mean, it would be cool if they stop beating them, and then they will, then
Is
we
that
can
a
have,
thing? 'Cause you
we
were
can
born
have
in-
a proper woman day if they stop beating women in Iraq.
Are they allowed to drive?
Huh? They're allowed to drive in Iraq. Only in Saudi Arabia they were not allowed to drive, except the new prince, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, regardless that he cuts people off, like he cuts people and
Like
and kill
literally.
them. But
Oh my
he
gosh.
still gave women the right to drive, and it changed Saudi Arabia dramatically. We do have women are allowed to drive in Iraq. However, will they be accepted by the society? Will they not be harassed by the rest of everybody because they're driving? So there's a lot of issues that it's a lot bigger than just a tweet or a post on social media.
Yeah, isn't it crazy that women here still complain? I mean, coming from where you come from, women
Yeah.
in America complain.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the best place in the world
Meghan
to
Markle
be.
thing,
Oh,
is a
Meghan
prime
Markle.
example. Meghan Markle getting on Oprah complaining about oppression. Didn't she just buy like a $15 million house in Santa Barbara?
Yeah, I mean,
Tough
I feel
life.
it's a tough life being a princess.
Yeah.
So
For
no,
real.
I'm kidding. To be honest, it's very different world. I think here in America we're so blocked from the rest of the world. We don't know what
Spoiled
the
is the
hell
word.
is happening outside of the box. It's like we live in a bubble, and this bubble is pretty much prevent you from seeing what's outside in the world. If you want to talk about women's rights, you got to go to some of these countries and see what they do to women. You have to see some of these women that feed 5 to 6 children and they go to work every single day, and there's no opportunities, there's no jobs, there's nothing. It's hard, man.
Yeah,
That's why it's
those
a
are the
different
women that need
world. You can never
appreciation.
compare between America and the rest of the world, especially the Middle East.
But you know what? I bet you today when
Yeah.
they woke up, are they allowed to get on Facebook?
Yeah, in Iraq they are, but
Okay.
not in Iran. Yeah.
Well, I bet you those women, when they got on Facebook today and they saw that the Iraqi soccer club gave them a shout out on International Women's Day, I bet you it made them feel good.
For sure. I mean, the Pope was there just a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
What do you mean?
The Pope being there.
Oh, absolutely. It's the most positive thing Iraq ever had.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Wow.
for sure.
Yeah, being a hard
You don't want my
Catholic,
opinion on that.
He travels all over and does humanitarian.
This visit was tough because Iran was literally Iranian psychological operation units in Iraq was literally trying to defame the Pope in any way possible because they didn't want a version of Iraq that shows that it's a non-radical Iraq. They didn't want people to see that version of Iraq. So they were trying their best to really diminish the reputation of the Pope. And it was probably the biggest reception we ever had in our history for someone who is a Catholic man, not a Muslim, that was received by a majority Muslim country. So that just goes to show you that the majority of Iraqis are normal people, everyday people. They're normal. They're not radical. But that little 15% fucked up people that I'm sure you guys have more than that in America.
Oh, we do.
Messed up people who follow Iran and try to cover that up. But I'll tell you, man, I have never seen any president in the world was respected and were received like the Pope was in Iraq.
So is this corruption that you talk about? Excuse me. Is this people that don't want to receive him? Is this part of the corruption from within, from that 15%?
It's not corruption. It's psyop. It's Iranian psyop.
Uh-huh.
Iran wants to keep Iraq as its backyard where they can do all their financing, all their smuggling, because Iran is intersection. That's what people in America don't realize is Iran is intersection, but the sections are not affecting Iran as we think it is because they have other countries they can utilize to get rid of their produce or whatever they are making or whatever they're selling. So that's the sad part is when Iraq was under section during my time in Iraq, I was hungry as fuck. And I knew what those sanctions was because I was only able to eat like about half a piece of a bread a day, eat one spoon of rice. And I lived 9 years with that. I mean, talk about diet. I should be the king of diet.
At one,
but that's how Iraq was under section. But Iran is not so affected because it can still use Iraq. It could still use Syria. It could still use Yemen. It could use any other countries they had influence in. So this is what really keeps Iran strong in the Middle East.
So whenever we hear Iran saying anything, it's 90% of the time just complete bullshit.
Listen, you cannot say 90%. Yes, for the last 4 years, yes, Iran would not dare make a move. That's a reason why they never drove one speedboat towards an American destroyer in the Gulf. They haven't done anything because they knew the consequences of if they did something, what happens. But in the last 48 hours alone, Iran has been doing airstrikes on our U.S. bases. The media may show you only one side of it, but Iran is getting aggressive, whether we like it or not.
Why do you think they're getting aggressive now?
Because they're not afraid of you anymore.
Because we have a weak leader.
hey, man,
listen,
on
I'll
that,
be honest, this is not about politics. It's not about Biden. They just know who is in charge. And I think the one thing that made Trump be different dealing with the Iranians
he wasn't part of the club.
is that Trump told them how much risk he's willing to take. Trump has notified the Iranians a while ago, 3 years ago, that if you do make any move at any point, you have 58 location in Iran. That is the most important location. Literally, this is what Iran breathed through. This is the infrastructure for Iran. And he told them that if you make any move, I wouldn't go to war if necessary with your country, but I'll destroy this 58 locations that you have, and I'll put you back 1,000 years. And Iran knew exactly what the consequences was. Biden may have done an airstrike in the last few days in Syria against the Iranian militia. I gave him a high five for it. I wasn't going to beat him down because I don't support him politically, but I want him to keep on that rhythm to put the Iranians back where they belong. Because if you allow them, that's what happens in the last 48 hours. They'll be starting shooting rockets at the U.S. bases. They will not be afraid to kill an American soldier anymore. And that's what makes the difference between a president, whether we like it or not. I don't care what the rest of the country consider President Trump as, but President Trump had successful foreign policy plan. And that is a proof, and that's evidence that Iran would not dare do one thing.
Is that because you knew where he stood?
I think because they knew that he wasn't a man of politics. If he said he was going to do something, he was going to do it. And Iran knew exactly what was going to cost them. And the reason why the only airstrike that Iran conducted during Trump time in Iraq, it was Ain al-Assad after Soleimani has been airstriked, the smartest Iranian general that they ever had. And they shot the base with empty rockets. We had that, and they shot it with empty rockets. And what they did, Iran literally informed the Iraqis half an hour earlier to make sure all American soldiers would take cover, because they wanted to make sure not one American soldier get injured on that airstrike. That rocket strike. And the rockets were empty. That was released on Drinking Bros exclusively with the pictures. And now Iran is not shooting empty rockets on you anymore. They are shooting you with real rockets.
It's really funny that I've heard you on the podcast on episode 496 on Drinking Bros, and that was really one of my favorite episodes. I think it was like 2.5 hour long episode.
2 hours.
But I listened to all
minutes.
2.5 hours, and I called you. And I think we went out to lunch that day. We went to a fine restaurant. I forgot that you were a Muslim, and I ordered you the ribs. Still embarrassed.
You're just racist.
Well, that was definitely a racist mistake on my part. Still embarrassed about it. But you invited me to your house for a true Iraqi dinner.
Yep.
You love to cook. You cooked for my family, but really you cooked for an entire village, because there's no way that my family of 5 was going to eat that much food.
Yeah.
Is that typical for Iraqi custom?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Like, you invite people over, people have.
What's an Iraqi tailgate like? Do you guys play soccer there, right? Or cricket? I don't know. What's the sport of Iraq?
Soccer for sure.
Soccer for sure. Big soccer guys. Do you guys tailgate for the soccer games?
So the truth is that we're so crazy about soccer that we're more crazy about soccer than religion in Iraq. So we don't necessarily tailgate, but I'll tell you, like, every soccer game, there is at least 80,000 people in the game.
And they don't tell you, they don't cook outside the game like we do?
cooking,
No,
man?
they don't
No?
have that idea, because I think that you can say Iraqis are well fed.
They're well fed?
Yeah, they're well fed, and they just show up and they go to the game. I mean, there will be. It's not like they don't have any food outside, but they don't have that specific tradition tailgating outside.
Yeah.
This is more of an American thing.
Americans are
Yeah,
fat.
I think-
That's
yeah.
why we're fat as fuck, and we
Yeah.
just want to eat all the time.
Have you been to a pro sports game or a collegiate game here in the United States?
I have been to a football game. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's it like going to an American football game versus what it's like going to an Iraqi soccer game?
It's big difference. Big difference, man. I mean, I think Americans, the craziest thing they can do is scream. That's
Scream.
it, right? Scream. Down there, it's a very different world. It's very violent. If a player is not playing really well, probably the fans will get in there and beat his ass. So really, like, we have issues. They actually now deploy like a whole entire battalion around the field to make sure people can't cross. They got guns. They're all armed. It's very
Do you get
different
searched
culture.
before you go into the game?
I mean, this is not just Iraq. This is the whole Middle East.
But do they search you before you go into a game?
Oh, of course.
Okay, so they take
I
all your
mean,
guns and stuff away.
Sometimes they fight. The only European nation that's similar to us is the English.
Okay.
They're similar to that, but they don't use weapons. They don't try to beat the players. Where in the Middle East is a very, very dangerous game.
What does an Iraqi cheerleader look like these days?
We don't have any. We just have ugly dudes that lead the. Yeah, I'm serious.
Do they like play music or like a drum like the Steelers?
Yeah,
they don't have cheerleaders. They have a drum
usually
line.
have a big drum, and there's only one guy in charge of the whole entire, whoever the fan are.
Yeah.
And they usually use a hand language because you can't talk to people. This is like 60,000 people in front of you cheering for that team. So literally they use a hand language to see whatever they have to repeat. But there is no women. There is no good-looking girls coming out. There's just a bunch of.
Are women allowed to go to the soccer game?
Yeah, is that like a thing?
They are now. It is actually. It's a new thing that women's are allowed. The biggest thing they worry about is not allowing women. It's more they're worried about the harassment. So
Okay.
yeah, that's what they worry about.
And what's
So,
the harassment like? Is it sexual harassment or is it just like mean, rude harassment?
Definitely physical.
Physical harassment.
Yeah, it's a different world.
I've heard like rape
People there
stories from
are
over there.
very aggressive. Different world. So
Like aggressive
yes.
how? Like aggressive
Yeah,
sexually or
I don't
aggressive?
Think, I don't
like
think
they're just
anybody
mad
was
that
going to
they're
allow
there?
their daughter or their wife to go to the game. It's
Okay.
Yeah, it's just.
Just because the guys get out of hand?
Yeah, definitely. We got. I mean, look, it's a very different world. People could be a little different.
We're a tailgating show. Make
Yeah.
us understand it. What is it like? What's it? So you're going to the game. Walk us through it.
I mean, you go to the game, you buy your ticket outside.
Okay.
Usually, the tickets get sold out. So, like some of the games, they will have 80,000 people. This is how many people they can seat.
That's a lot of people.
And they will have 60,000 standing outside that couldn't buy a ticket.
Wow.
It's a lot of people, especially if it's like a classic game between
Now,
two big
are they
teams.
wearing jerseys? Are they?
Oh, definitely. Jerseys. Some people come in shirtless. It's a crazy. It's
Okay.
It's
Okay.
a very strong love to those teams. And some of these teams have a lot of money, have big stars, superstars. So it's a very different world, but I can say it could really be. And you could literally hear 60,000 people cursing at another 50,000 people. So
Really?
it's really that bad.
Hamody,
yes.
and here in the U.S., you know how we've got like different teams from various
Yeah.
parts of the states and stuff. Are there like fierce rivalries like there are
Oh,
here?
definitely. Yes.
Same?
And it's bad. It's to the point that these people will be fighting outside in coffee shops.
Hey,
Yeah, I was
that's
gonna
like
ask
going to
about the
Philadelphia,
post-game.
man. Philadelphia or Boston, right?
Yeah, in
well, fuck
Egypt
Philly,
they had
but-
in Egypt they
Yeah.
had a big
Let me
fight
talk about your
between
dad.
two teams. Big fight between two teams, and the fans just engaged.
Yeah.
And they had to prevent, like they didn't allow any fans to come in for about a year.
That happens in
Until
America
they-
too. If you get
Yeah.
in the black hole and you play the
Oh,
Raiders,
trust me, they
might get
haven't
killed.
They haven't pulled knives and stabbed each other.
Anytime
That's
the Eagles win
Yeah.
or lose, they do that shit.
Yeah, 'cause
one time
Eagles
Yeah.
fans are
one,
trash.
One
That's
Super
why.
Bowl, they had to grease the telephone poles
Yeah.
prior to the game, so people wouldn't climb it, and they won, and they were still climbing the poles. I got a buddy up in PPD, Philly PD.
Yeah.
And he said they were climbing the poles even after they won. They were lighting shit on fire, like fucking we won.
Yeah.
that's what happens when you make a statue of a fictional character in your
Hey,
city.
Rocky's a real person.
And
sure he is.
let me just
Fucking
tell you, I'm
fight you
happy
right
that
now.
we were able to give you guys this traditions of stabbing each other and destroying each other businesses.
So we should thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're happy.
Thank you for the
So,
post-game violence
I
I learned
am.
from
But
you.
You guys only took it in politics. You haven't gone into the
It
sports
turns
side.
out that I am Iraqi.
So you are. You
I
could
am
be
from Philly.
You could be. What's up? So when your team wins,
Yeah.
and you know, like everybody kind of treats a win differently. Here at NC State, when the Wolfpack wins, they go to the what do? They go to the square there and they surround.
They go to
the Bell
Cornerstone
House.
at Dogwood.
Yeah,
They get
and they tear down the goalpost. What do? Like Ohio State, they burn all the couches on the front porches. When Iraq wins, what happens?
People go out shooting. I don't mean like shooting at targets. I want to clarify. They shoot
In
up
the
in
air?
the air, and
That's
those bullets
terrible,
goes up
man.
and they fall back. So every time a team win, we get casualties. People die.
It's getting
you
more and more
serious?
like
Serious.
it's getting more and more like
Yeah.
Philly. I remember one year in
Yeah.
like 2001, Mayor Street issued a warning. He said,
Yeah.
"When we win or on this holiday, don't shoot your guns in the air because it comes down."
Yeah. I mean, this is a tradition that even Saddam, a dictator, could not stop it. He threatened people with
gosh.
jail, with execution. It's just a messed up traditions that we had over the years since we owned guns in Iraq. And every time the national team win, specifically the national team, the whole country come outside and shoot in the air. So all these bullets go up to the top and then they fall back. So literally just go ahead and shoot yourself in the foot.
Well, you bring up Saddam. I kind of have a question about Saddam. Switch gears a little bit here.
He is.
So I've heard that Saddam was convinced that he was the reincarnation of Nebuchadnezzar. I'm
Yes.
not quite sure, the Babylonian king.
Good question.
Have you ever heard about that?
Really?
I've seen it
What
on
can you tell
TV
me? Yeah.
when I was a kid. It's not that it was Saddam's fault. It's the people that kisses
Around him.
Saddam's ass. That's the problem. They made Saddam believe he was the descent of the Prophet Muhammad, the Muslim prophet. They made him believe he was the descent of all the kings that ruled Iraq. And by the way, let me just clarify. I respect history, but every single king that ruled Iraq happened to be fucked up and happened to be somebody that was a dictator, did some crimes here and there. So truly, if you look in the history of Iraq all together, we've been at war since we were born. I was born in the Iran-Iraq war, and then we went to war with America. We went to Kuwait, we went to war with America, and then we went to war with ourselves. It's literally just one war after another. So after beating ourselves, I don't know who else we can beat now. ISIS showed up. We beat them too.
Beat their ass.
So now we need someone else.
Well, as
and
you-
Biden is really helping us out with that, with the the comeback of the Islamic.
I always said that and when Biden got elected, the first thing I said was like, well, there's a bunch of cherry veterans out there that don't have combat patches yet, and big government needs big war.
Yeah.
I bet you we're back to war by the summer.
he was right.
And Tanstradamus appears to be right again.
You can't steal that from me. You can't steal that from me.
I would
Just
love to
did.
see this new generation back at war, man. I'll pay anything.
well,
I'll
that's what I was gonna ask
I'll
you.
actually volunteer to go to war so I can see this new generation at war.
Yeah, but it's going to be bad.
But you just want to see it for the carnage, probably, because this generation is
Yeah,
weak.
how you-
I want to see it for the entertainment. I'll just take a bag of weed with me and just go really enjoy the show. Man.
How is it
chair.
being in the United States? So, for those of you who don't know who the Terrorist Whisperer is, or you're new to this, you have to go listen to episode 496 on Drinking Bros. But Hamody, in short, was arrested by Saddam Hussein at the age of 12, joined American forces at 17 as the first Iraqi-American spy. By the time he was 19, he was the youngest command sergeant major of Iraq. By the time he was 26, he was probably the most wanted Muslim in the Arabic world.
And by the time I was 29, I was the biggest porn star in America.
Yeah, then he by 29 he was the biggest porn star in America. But he came home with General Petraeus is the guy that brought you home, or brought you to the United States. Of course, I would
Which is
call the
now
United States
home, right?
Which is now home, and you're still taking down terrorists in the United States. You still did some work at the Pentagon, still did some work over in other parts of North Carolina, and then you finally, you're here, you're settled down, you have a family, a beautiful family. Won't go into that too much, but when you came from Iraq to the United States, what was the biggest holy shit I'm in the United States moment for
That's
you?
a great question.
I got here in 2008. And it's kind of weird because every immigrant come to this country kind of like really have to work hard to come here. I was brought by the CIA director, which is scary, right? When I got here, I would be honest, I was shocked. Like I had a really big shock. I think I was depressed for about 6 months.
Really?
That because it was just you were in this crazy environment. Everything is going on. You were chasing one of the most dangerous terrorists in the world. You almost live in the game Fortnite. And then all of a sudden they take you out and they drop you off in Arlington, Virginia, and it's quiet. There's nobody around. There's no one chasing you. There's nothing going on. So it was just a different environment, man. It's a different, it's a big shift. And I still remember I didn't even know how to cross the street. I didn't know like you have actually signs here that you have to wait until it shows, and then you can cross street. I used to cross street from anywhere.
You're like Brooks
And-
from Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, and it was scary for me. Like I wasn't scared of facing Al Qaeda top terrorists, but I was scared shitless to go to the grocery store
Yeah.
because I didn't know how to pay. I didn't know how to use a Visa card. I
felt
didn't
like
know
you
any of this stuff.
Kind of
And
just didn't fit, huh?
the crazy part is I came here, I had like $13,000 in my wallet. And it's all cash. And every time I go to buy like a tomato or something, I pull the whole entire $13,000 in front of the clerk.
Is this enough?
And it really just people think you're a drug dealer or
Yeah.
and it was just a different. I think
Glad you didn't get
everything
robbed.
was different. You go to the grocery store, you don't have grocery stores like that overseas. You usually have to go to the one guy that sells tomatoes, the one guy that sells watermelons. You come to one store and it's convenient. You have everything in front of you, and they have a pharmacy also. They have a butcher. It's just to you
So
that
no
is
shit.
like
So like in Iraq, they don't have like a grocery store. You have to go to
No.
different.
not my time, not during my time.
How long did it take to assimilate? Was there like a moment where you kind of like comfortable, like, okay, I've found myself, I know what to do in these situations?
I mean, for me, I was living in a safe house in Arlington, Virginia. I was living with an intelligent agent. I was just trying to make sure that there's no one coming after me. There's nobody would know I'm still alive. So I was really restricted from anywhere that I went. And just one day, they're like, "Hey, man, why don't you take the bus?" At that time, I didn't even know how I can buy a car. And I just started taking the bus, and I started seeing every fucked up American in the bus, sitting there, doing stupid stuff.
There's a lot of us.
And it really just kind of like I was kind of like getting to know the messed up part of America because I got to meet all these CIA director, generals, people I've dealt with, and then I got to see those Americans who smoke weed in the back of a bus.
Yeah.
And it was just interesting. It's interesting for me seeing like how people are. Nothing like the movies. So you guys definitely lied to us. And
Well, it depends.
And
What
it-
movie are you going by?
and it truly, you know.
Are you saying I don't look like Jean-Claude Van Damme?
It was just really different. So I would get in the bus. I would go to the museums in D.C. every single day, and I spent like 14 days, the first 14 days of my time in the U.S., going to the museums every
pretty
single
cool.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
What
it
was your
just-
favorite museum?
I'll say the aerospace, man.
Yeah,
that was
aerospace
sick.
gets everybody, man. That was always my first one. Never forget it.
Almost wore my NASA shirt.
Yeah.
but I didn't.
Hamody in
Yeah, like we
Or
usually
Space
we only
Force.
specialize in blowing up planes, you know, like we don't build them. So it was really interesting.
when
Like, I
you
was
were
watching
on
them, yeah.
episode 496, you talked about part of the reason you got incarcerated at the age of 11 or 12, and you said you had money on you because you were saving
Yeah.
up for one shoe.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
like, the reason I'm asking you this,
Yeah.
for Americans, like, that's a crazy concept. Can you, like, break it down for us? Why were you saving up for one and not two?
because Iraq was under sanctions. People couldn't afford to do anything. You were blocked from the whole. This is what sanctions does: is it blocks you from the whole world. You can't buy anything. You can't sell anything. So really, having a shoe or pants. Some people actually use the rice. You know the rice bags.
Uh-huh.
They put rice in it.
Yeah.
Some people used to take that and make it into a pants,
Like a moccasin
where
or
you can
pants
wear.
or-
And truly, that it was really hard to buy one piece of clothing, one piece of whatever. So having a shoe, the only reason I struggled, I had to put money over a year to buy one pair of shoe, and my shoe at the time was open half from the front. So every time I walk, my feet is literally outside of the shoe, and that was hard. That was like a big deal. So you either had to walk 13 miles to school and walk with no shoes, and that will be tough, or you put some money together until you can buy one. So putting money together was probably the hardest thing you could do. And
they came in and they were like, give us your money. And you were like, get fucked.
yeah, and
I need
I
to buy a shoe.
try to fight to keep my money in my pocket. Down there, it's a different authority. People, if they tell you to give them their money, you need to give it to them. End up going to prison because I refused to give the money to this Ba'ath Party member, and I end up getting beating in prison as an enemy of the state because he wrote a false report. He wasn't going to go and say I was trying to take his money and he didn't give me his money, so he wrote a report stating I was an enemy of the state and I was trying to assassinate him.
At the age
and I
11 or
and I
12.
entered the prison as an enemy of the state because under Saddam, no matter how old you are, if you were 1 day old, that's what Saddam said. If you were 1 day old, if you were 99 years old, if you're considered an enemy of the state, you go to a different prison. You go to concentration camp. It's not just prison. So it's a lot of labor. It's a lot of torture. It's a lot of confessions that you don't have. So I got tortured like anybody that was fighting against the regime at the time.
What the fuck were they torturing you for? What are they trying to find
Confessions.
out?
What
Just
group
to-
you fighting for? Perhaps I actually had no idea what the group's names were.
Yeah.
But some of the prisoners gave me basically fake confessions to
To get out.
get out. So because you're gonna die anyway, there's no getting out of that place. So the best part is for you to give them whatever they want to hear, sign on it, and just they leave you alone.
Now, is
But
that
if-
because these groups use kids to like?
No, there's when I went to that prison, it's nothing like an American prison. American prison would look like a 5-star hotel. Compare that. It's a big warehouse. There was about 300 people in that place, one bathroom, and there was no beds. There was nothing. There was just people sitting in the floor, in the concrete floor. And they'll open the prison door. They'll call you to the end of that prison, and they had a room painted red with no windows. And what they do is they hang you upside down from your leg, from your ankles. You look like a sheep that being hanging on a butcher store. And they just let you look all around red. And the reason red, this was Saddam Hussein's son's idea. He wrote it on a old Roman torture book that he bought. It was an ancient torture book that the Romans used back in the day. And when they block everything and you're only looking at red all around you and they're turning you around through that chain, it messes up with you psychologically. So when you come out of that room, doesn't matter whether you're innocent or not, you're going to sign in whatever they tell you to sign. And it was a different process. It wasn't like you have rights or you go in front of a judge.
You have none, right?
They own you. They'll do whatever they have to do with you.
So coming from
yeah.
where you're coming from and what you're telling us, what was your first impression when you're trying to assimilate to America of the American people? When you've been through it all at 12 years old, and most of these 12-year-olds have a nice pampered life in America. When you come here and you see sort of what the vibe is in America, what were your initial thoughts? Were you kind of bitter? Did you resent these people?
No, not at all. Of course. I mean, you see that someone this is what normal life looked like.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to see what a normal childhood is through an American child, seeing with an American child. And that's the way it should be. It should be that you live as a child, but there is no children in Iraq. That's what I need to clarify.
Yeah.
Is that some of the children, because of that environment or that life, they grew up way faster.
Forced
hard as
to.
fuck.
And
Yeah.
some children can kill
Which
you.
is
and
embarrassing
that's
to me
how-
because my children
yeah.
are here tonight. Honey, take the iPad away from the kids and hang it up from their ankles for me. Daddy ain't raising no bitch.
Your kids are wild, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it changes perspective,
Like,
dude. What you're
yeah.
saying.
Sure,
Like,
for
what?
sure.
When you know, bringing it back to the old tailgating show, one of the rumors that I've heard, speaking of the prisons and things, is that they do sometimes public executions or maybe punishments publicly at these games. Is that something that happens, or is that just an American fairy tale?
Under Saddam Hussein, because his son was in charge of all the Olympic Games, in charge of all the soccer teams.
At a game.
So he used to torture the hell out of players.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that based off performance? If they didn't show up to play, they
Like,
If they
if
lost-
LeBron flopped, then
they
he just gets
lost,
fucking flogged.
He used to put them in prison. He used to make them do hard labor. He used to shave their head all zero until they're bald.
Yeah, that's the way I am.
He used to do. I mean,
I
it's not
can't
by
help
choice.
it, though. I can't.
He used to do just all kind of horrible things to them, man.
Do they do like public punishments, like on criminals at halftime? What was the halftime show like?
No. They don't have like a probation. Is that what you mean?
Well, I mean, when I was in
no,
Afghanistan,
yeah.
I mean, my interpreter told me that he didn't go to soccer games because he didn't like to see people get their hands cut off.
I mean, that's
Because at
Afghanistan,
halftime.
because Afghanistan is always going to be a different animal. It's ruled by
Yeah,
the Taliban.
sure,
And it's
right.
two different.
Bunch of animals over there.
It's a radical
Savages.
Islamic that does that, and the Taliban does that based on religious punishment, that they
Right,
cut
right, but
people's
they didn't do that in
hands or
Iraq.
they kill women or whatever. Where dictator is just a violent asshole.
Just a violent
Yeah,
asshole.
that's it.
Did you ever go to any pro soccer games over in Iraq? Did you ever
Just
get
a
that
couple
opportunity?
times when
Just
I was
a couple
young.
times.
Yep.
Is it as memorable as the football game that you went to here in the States?
No, definitely different. You just go to the game and scream the hell out of your throat, and you go home, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's nobody selling hot dogs. There's nobody selling you Coca-Cola for about $20. I tell you, that guy will die in Iraq if you do that. That guy will get shot. You can't do that. But yeah, there's none of that. None.
Speaking of food and $20 Cokes, Chef Puhak, you got some of that good Iraqi cuisine set up for us, baby?
I need to actually hop on over there and start working on it.
While you do that,
So
I'm
I'm
gonna bring up old Oshin Finn.
Buddha or Oshin.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I think we got Oshin up here next. I want to talk about Finn Realty. We got a couple of sponsors to pay for this show tonight. The first one being Boulevard West, Boulevard Coffee Shop. This is the beautiful scenery that you see behind us in beautiful Clayton, North Carolina. You heard Oshin on one of our shows, a couple of shows ago, down at the golf course. He's got a real fucked up accent, kind of like Boston Joe does. And then after that show, he said, you know what? After that shameless plug I gave you guys by dumping his rum drink in his own personal coffee cup, that he was actually going to be a sponsor of the show.
Puhak broke his mic,
But he
sabotaged
can't-
him,
But he can't work on his microphone.
and I don't
Somebody
know how
help
to
him
fix it.
out.
So good thing Buddha's good for something. I think. Let's see. Is he good? He's good for something. We
Shane,
finally
you,
found a reason to keep
There
Buddha
he is.
around.
There he is. Do you play soccer, don't you? Or you've got a
I used to play.
passion for soccer?
Yeah, I used to play a little bit, up till I was 16, 17, 18 years of age, and I coach now the kids.
Oh, you do.
around
You
here,
coach.
so
You
yeah.
coach children in soccer.
Yeah, coached with Noose River, Johnson United Soccer
Nice.
Association.
So listen, we brought you up because you're one of the sponsors of today's show, Finn Realty. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, myself and my wife, we're local realtors. We're all about Clayton. We obviously do a lot in the Triangle area, but mainly in Clayton, Johnson County area, which is insane right now. If you're selling, reach out to me. If you're buying, I'm not sure what to do for you because we can't find you anything right now. But it's crazy right now. But we just love it, and we love being able to find stuff for our clients and making them happy.
For all of our drinking bros out there, Oshin is a true drinking bro. He plays at his coffee shop. He sometimes puts episodes up on the old screen when it's appropriate, but he's a real big fan of the drinking bros, a big fan of the veteran community. He's got a big giant American flag hanging out in front of his coffee shop. He's never once bowed down to anybody, and kind of like you, he's an
the
implant.
Iraqi version of me.
He's the
Yep.
Ireland version of the Iraqi version of Hamody.
I'm glad
Jasim.
he's in downtown. I'm right in the back. So
Well, I got a question.
Yeah.
Whose terrorists are worse?
What year? What year are you talking about?
Oh, you're talking about.
At peak worst, who had the worst terrorists?
You're from Ireland, right?
It depends on what perspective you're
Oh,
looking
they
at
got
it
some
from,
violent
too.
people, dude. They got some violent people.
Yeah.
That's the thing is that they got some violent people with a thick accent. I'd rather understand the person that's
Because you don't have
an
an accent.
No, I mean, I have mine, but I'll tell you, Irish, they do have very thick accents.
Well, I don't have an
yes.
insight into the
Yeah.
terrorist organizations
Are you
that
sure?
Hamody has. You know.
But
and
you
I,
guys,
and I want that
you guys
on
kicked
camera,
the Brits
please.
out. You have to go. You have to go through your history. You guys drove the Queen of England crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we were fighting her for 800 years.
Yes.
trying to
Well,
get
that's
them, you
that's
know,
a great
Yes.
point.
Literally, yeah.
Let's talk
Yeah.
about the Queen of England.
Let's
and,
talk about
and
her.
Meghan
Come on.
Markle.
Meghan Markle's
okay.
spilled the beans. Let
I
us
want
do it.
I want a small rant. Okay, so
Let's
this is
go.
March is Women's Appreciation Month. Okay,
And I totally appreciate all the women out there.
I was raised by women. I was raised by an amazing mother. Meghan Markle.
Is your mother a lesbian? Did you say you were raised by women? Is that what?
No, I was raised by women because I didn't have a dad. Are you familiar with this? It's an ongoing joke we've been talking
He
about.
does
The
not
joke
have
is-
a dad. He has two
I was
moms.
just setting you up.
I don't have two moms, but I have a couple aunts and a grandmother who was great to me too. But
that what you call
Meghan
them?
Markle probably set women back about 10 years with her comments about being oppressed when she's a princess, like we were saying earlier. I just don't understand how you can go on Oprah. If you're on Oprah, you're not oppressed. Okay, you're talking to the richest woman in the world, and she wants to talk about how, you know, the Queen of England, who we talked about on Facebook a little bit, might be a racist. I don't know, but she's making bullshit up.
Possibly.
I know that the drinking bros don't like Meghan Markle. I heard Jables talk about Meghan Markle.
Oh, we've all
Got
known that
me
she's
all fired up.
We know that she got her claws into the prince. We know that this whole thing has been a show from the beginning. This was her chance at fame. She wasn't going to get famous any other way. She had to marry into it. She got her claws into the man. She got it, and I mean, she's proved it. I mean, literally, if you followed Drinking Broettes or Drinking Bros, if you followed this at all since the last 2 or 3 years, has everything that's happened right now has been foretold.
And she's anti-feminist, okay? She's playing the victim. If you want to be a strong woman, you don't play the victim. I know a strong woman. My mother is a strong woman. Aww. And also, shout out to all the single moms out there. But sorry, I have a shameless plug for myself right there. But for Meghan Markle to be in the position that she's in and play the victim really does, I think, set back the strong
especially-
women out there who are fighting, who are single moms out there raising awesome people like me. And
so we had a doctor stay at our house from Santa Barbara, California, this December. She wanted to escape California. She's a doctor, a medical doctor, and she says that the mask thing was just absolutely out of control down there. The whole medical thing was out of control, and she just had to get away. So she came down here to old Clayton, North Carolina. She stayed at my house for 2 weeks, and we had asked her about the Meghan Markle thing because she had just bought the $15 million house in Santa Barbara, and she said that it had changed the landscape of Santa Barbara, literally. That people are now flocking, moving to Santa Barbara only to get a glimpse of Meghan Markle.
Wow.
That stores have changed completely because of her being there. They've changed the way that things are decorated.
What's
that
the
Meghan
obsession?
Markle,
What is it?
because she's so oppressed, people want to see how oppressed she is and how tough her life is. Everyone feels so bad for her. Listen, there's a reason why most people are actually leaving California, okay? She can go live in California with Gavin Newsom and his backwards politics. People are leaving California and coming to places
Actually,
like
more
Claytona
people
Beach.
left California for the first time in like 25 years. More people have left California this year than actually moved into California. That's the first time that's happened in 25 years.
And that's
unfortunately,
politics.
they all moved to Austin, Texas, and they're ruining that city now with
On
its
to the
homeless
next.
population, and that's pretty sad and difficult. What is it like for you to look and see all that kind of stuff going on here in America? You came here when we were kind of like at a great moment.
It's a psyop war.
It's a what?
Psyop.
A psyop war.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, look, everything that's been happening look, if you were a psyop instructor, if you understand the
And
psychological...
psyop is psychological operations.
Operation. If you understand, because we do this to other countries, we destroy other countries basically by using things in their society to turn against them. We do this for a living. The U.S. government's been doing that forever.
I thought they called that liberating.
And it's not. All this has been happening. You have to understand that this has been going on for a while. Hollywood, whether we like it or not, it's on their way of making Meghan Markle an iconic figure. And they are going to nail that. That's how they're doing it. And
Is it because she fits their agenda?
If you notice that anybody that they want to destroy at this point right now during this time is use the race card, use the racism, and you can destroy. It's one of the most powerful weapon that these individuals been using. And now Meghan Markle is a soldier of this agenda to actually destroy the royal family. Look, the royal family, whether we like them or not, this is their tradition. This is what they've been following for thousands and thousands of years. Who the hell are we or Meghan Markle to come over and say, well, you got to change?
Is she a pawn in that then, or does she know?
What's that?
Does she know, or is she just a pawn?
I think she knows what she's doing.
I think
She knows what she's doing, of course.
I think
Yeah.
this is like she's getting famous.
Yeah,
so,
it's all
like,
about
I don't
attention.
care. It's all about attention.
Yeah.
You know, when al-Soleimani died and al-Baghdadi died,
Yeah.
which one of our close friends is the one that breached the door to kill al-Baghdadi, and that's really close to us. You know, I remember you remarking on the American people that were ashamed that America, that because of Trump, killed al-Baghdadi. And this was probably one of the first times I saw you come out real politically and take a stand.
Yeah.
Kind of similar situations, right? Like, as in, Americans do something great, right? By getting rid of one of the worst terrorists in the world.
Despite the 600 American that died in the hand of Soleimani, right? People are so ignorant, unfortunately. They are so focused on their political party or political opinion versus valuing the American life. I don't care what your politics is going to be. Soleimani was responsible for 600 American soldiers that died during my time, 600 families that got destroyed here in America because of that man, because of what he was doing. And when somebody like this get killed by our troops, it shouldn't be a president thing. It's not about Trump or Biden or Obama. This is about getting rid of somebody that owe us as an Americans blood, and we finally got taken care of them.
What happened was the American people, or a very big number of American people, actually chastised and whined and cried for Soleimani.
The intelligent,
cried for
the New York Times called him like a scholar or something.
The intelligent community was trying to get that airstrike proved for 6 years. 6 years trying to convince a leader in the United States that we need to take care of this guy. We need to send a message that if anybody does anything to our soldiers in Iraq or anywhere else in the world, we should be able to stop them or airstrike them and get rid of them. And not one president was able to prove it. So Trump didn't make that airstrike. He didn't come in and all of a sudden decide to kill Soleimani. The only difference that Trump did was he proved it. He agreed to it. And he took risk by killing the biggest, smartest brain Iran has. And guess what? This was the PSYOP, the psychological operation, supreme leader in Iran. This guy is the smartest guy in the Iranian regime. And once you killed him, Iran has not been able to win psychologically in the Middle East. It has not been able to turn a country to think the way they want them to think. So by killing Soleimani, it wasn't just getting revenge for our country as Americans. It was actually giving more activists and more free people in the Middle East to speak up and not be afraid.
Yeah, and that's not. I wouldn't give Trump credit for that. Maybe he listened to the right people.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, he's doesn't do the stereotypical politician thing where he kind of did what he wanted to do. Whereas the people on the other side, just because they hated Trump so much, decided this isn't a good thing because Trump did it. And that's what I think is the biggest problem in America right now is they don't give a fuck what the outcome is. Is it my guy or is it their guy? If Biden did the same thing, all the woke leftists would be like, oh, he's such a hero. But Trump did it, and they were like, well, he was a scholar, actually, and we should kind of look back at the good things that he brought to the table.
I think hypocrisy should be the word of 2021 or the word of this decade because we're obviously seeing a lot of it every single day.
From both sides, too.
From both sides. From everybody, yes. From big government. I love right now, speaking of, if we're tailgating for a competition, the competition I'm tailgating for every day is big government versus big tech. I think this is a hilarious battle that is going on in the world today. I fucking hate both of them. Small business just kind of sitting back and watching both these assholes go at each other. But it's really fun watching big tech versus big government. I have no idea who's going to win.
Well, who's scarier?
But the Constitution's not going to win. I'll tell you that much. That's been proven. Chef Puhak, how close is this food to being ready, homie? We are getting hungry.
Close enough for him to take pictures.
What's that? You want to do a sports minute? Yeah, but let's go back. Buddha, we'll get you on up here to switch out the mic. Oshin from Finn Realty, thank you so much, man, for being out here. We're going to talk to you before we close out. Want to get to another sponsor of the show, whiskeywear.com. That's whiskeywear, WARE.com. Makers of the customizable premium whiskey glasses, whiskey decanters. If you wanted to get, what was the unit that you served with in Iraq? Your favorite American unit that you served with?
First Cavalry unit.
First Cav. If you wanted to grab one of these glasses, have a First Cav emblem on there with your call sign. Did you have a call sign in Iraq?
No, we didn't have anything.
You didn't have a call sign?
No.
Nothing cool like Hitman.
No, man.
Punisher.
No,
Nothing
I was
cool?
just
Oh, well.
Hamody Jasim, man. That's what they know me.
Well, if you wanted to get
Or
one
the
with
terrorist whisperer.
yeah, there you go. If
Which
you
is a
wanted
tough
to get,
word for me to say. It's lots of R's in there.
Lots of R's in there. If you wanted to get a premium custom whiskey glass with First Cav on it and Hamody Jasim under it, it's $19.99. But today you can use promo code LEGENDS, all capital letters, LEGENDS in the promo code. They get you 10% off. But today it's what we got going on in sports there, Buddha. We got the ACC tournament coming up, March Madness right around the corner. Hockey, we actually tried to scout out a hockey game that we got kicked out of.
Yeah,
thanks
we did
to you.
get kicked out of a hockey game. That sucked.
Well, I want to start off with,
Absolutely
You
with
got,
the
you got
trade.
to really watch how he has gonna look. He has to flip this up.
Oh, okay. Wait,
And-
we're gonna watch the
Oh.
food
And-
go on.
and
This
you
is
got-
Iraqi
And
food
this
cooking.
is the most difficult process right here.
right,
So
here
no
he goes.
pressure. We're all watching you,
Dude,
Look,
Puhak.
if you
No
follow us
pressure.
on
It's
YouTube,
everywhere, Puhak.
Hammer the like
Before you
button
go,
on YouTube.
before you go, listen, chef. If you mess this up, you're definitely a white
no
guy.
pressure.
oh, he doesn't even pause.
Oh no,
And
not
if
in
you
front
get
of
it
me.
Drum roll,
right,
please.
you're definitely a Middle Eastern.
Honorary Iraqi.
And
So Chef
Look
Puhak,
at that.
1, 2, 3.
oh, Chef
Nice.
Puhak,
Did it.
with a
That was
big
that was a
flip.
classic.
wow, look
Oh,
at that.
damn.
Holy shit. Oh,
Oh,
hey, it's
a
a
little
little
bit of it.
spillage, but
Hey,
hey,
you did a great job.
Good
That was-
job.
That's how
fantastic.
Iraqis do it.
a round of applause
All right,
for
make sure you have
Puhak.
space before you do that.
Puhak, Puhak, Puhak.
Oh, he's go. Look,
give
Hamody's
him
really
space.
into this, guys.
I know, man.
Conspiracy
Hamody
cuisine.
is really into this. He is sitting at the edge of his seat.
Yes.
Here
The
it
flip.
goes. The
That's
flip.
Oh yeah,
That's
flip
it.
that bean, baby.
He's doing it.
Oh my God.
He's doing it.
that smells
He nailed
friggin'
it.
amazing.
He
Smells like
nailed
a
it.
foodgasm.
There's so many
Multiple
colors.
foodgasms.
There's so many colors there. There's
Yeah.
red, there's yellow, there's orange, there's brown. That is a lot going on. What is this? What is this dish called one more time?
It's called dolma.
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 Dolma with a D.
Dolma oregato.
So what it is basically vegetables like peppers, onions,
Look, he just-
and
cream all over it.
grape,
There you
like a what do you call it? Grape leaves. And they
Crepe
use rice, beef, some spices. They mix them up, and they cook them with the sauce, with the tomato sauce.
Wow.
And it's like over 2-3 hours.
Chef Puhak, would you mind getting a good picture of that while it's down there?
We got it.
And I don't know, we can probably get that recipe up on Drinking Bros Sports. Look, if you're not following us on YouTube, we are shadow banned on YouTube just because of the foul and aggressive content that we have. So you're going to have to look us up as Drinking Bros Sports Tailgate Legend Show if you want to see what's going on here. But if you do, please hammer the like button, give us a 5-star review. Also on iTunes and Spotify. That's where we get our ratings from.
Nice.
And how we keep this show alive. So
He is.
Looks like the salt guy.
look
Salt
at him.
me.
So I give
Salt
him
Bay.
5-star. And I told you in the beginning of this show that
Yep.
you told me to be nice to him, and I told you
did.
that I was going to tell him the truth.
Yep.
No matter what, he did a great job. I give him the 5-star. He earned every star of it.
Yeah, it looks
And
great.
He did a lot better job than the Iraqis too, with whatever that he put on top. That looked really hot.
Yeah, sprinkle
The
of salt.
chive.
We
like
do
a
a horrible
meme.
job. We literally just get slapped and go to eat. But that is a good job.
Yes, sir. Buddha, what do we have going on in the sports world while he's dishing
I
that
don't know.
out?
I still want to talk about the hockey game the other night.
Let's talk about the
Yeah,
hockey
let's
game.
talk about the hockey game. That
You
was
were
kind of a
managing us. We
mess.
were out there to scout it out.
Yes, we were. We actually went
That
out.
didn't
We were
go over
invited-
well.
No, it didn't go over well. So we finally get in there. We walk up. I have a gator on my face.
Yeah.
It's
beautiful
from the
neck gator.
Steelers. Yeah,
It is.
it's from the Steelers. I mean,
Okay.
it's sanctioned by the NFL. So I walk up, can't wear that.
No.
Yep. Put on a
M95, baby.
face diaper. So I
Yes.
put on the face diaper, and then we get up to go into the inside and said,
Club
"Have you filled out?"
seats?
Yep, club seats. I mean, not like bad seats, but
Our own
oh yeah.
section?
Have you filled out your COVID survey?
Have you seen how good I play hockey?
Do you play
No,
hockey?
you play
Do you play
hockey for
hockey in
real?
Iraq?
Dude, maybe sand hockey, but no. No. I'm
So
kidding.
we-
Anything with the snow, I can't do.
We get in there and we sit in our seats. There's nobody around us.
Yep.
We get told several times that in order to drink your beer, you must pull your mask down
And then put it up to swallow.
and put it up to swallow.
I said, even if my beer's to my lip, we're okay. Nope.
Nope.
Not
We
okay,
couldn't eat
not
our
okay.
pretzels that way. Finally, after 3 warnings in the second period, beginning of the
Yeah.
second period, we'd already had our 3rd warning.
Yep.
And again, we weren't trying to piss anybody off. We were trying to follow the rules. We weren't being smart asses. We were in a section all of our own.
Mm-hmm.
But we had this 80-year-old man who was in charge of the entire section that we were the only people in.
Yep.
And so he came to me and he said, "Young man, you pull your mask down, you put the pretzel in your mouth, you lift the mask back up, you chew, and then you repeat." I thought there's no way some asshole's talking to me that way without it being a joke, so I laughed.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh yeah, man, you got it, baby."
Was it worse than the plane?
But he was not kidding. He was.
No, it was worse than the plane.
Oh,
Worse
it was
than the
10 times
plane.
worse than the
Worse than
plane.
the plane.
10 times worse
Yeah,
than the
we
plane.
were on a plane. I mean,
The plane- the plane was,
people breathe all over you. They eat their pretzels.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in the middle of an aisle seat.
The
You
plane
got
was
a
like
300-pound
America. The hockey game was like Iraq.
guy. Yes, that's exactly right.
plane was
Thank
not-
you, Eric.
oh, well.
Appreciate that.
I'm just joking.
Maybe American Airlines.
It was just as bad as being strung up by your ankles in a red room. That's the way it was. That's how it
Pretty
felt.
sure not the fucking same.
Well,
That's
now
it
that
was
I'm
the
back.
same. I'm oppressed. I've lived it.
Yes.
I have a great tale. I'm going to write a book about it.
Yep.
And I'm going to call it the Hockey Whisperer.
okay, let's get back to sports.
Yeah, now
Okay,
that I'm
Joe,
back
what's
from my
going
pee
on?
break that I got to do like almost
Yeah.
every show. Real quick, I kind of want to address it because my big shot. We're in Austin a month ago now. Ross is like, Boston Joe, get Boston Joe up here. Where is he? And I went back and watched the tape, and I was in the bathroom when he was looking
Yeah.
for me. So
Yeah.
I got
I
a
was
tiny,
talking to Tansy's
tiny
wife.
bladder.
Little tiny Boston bladder.
Little tiny
matches
Boston.
tiny
But anyway,
Boston penis.
speaking of Boston, we'll go right to the Patriots. They made a big trade.
Oh,
this
God.
They went
isn't
in-
the Patriots minute, you
but,
fuck.
isn't.
that's the biggest. That's
No,
the
the
biggest,
thing that's going on right now is the
Yeah,
ACC
right now.
tournament.
Trent Brown
the
got
biggest
traded.
thing is that NC State women's team fucking won.
Yes. They
did.
And
They
it's
won the
International Women's Day, so
Yep.
let's celebrate
You're
some
welcome.
NC State
You're welcome for
females.
telling you that NC State, the women's team, won the ACC tournament. That's good for them. Hopefully, it motivates NC State, the men's team, to step up because right now UNC and Duke are having a real down year. Duke is having one of the worst years they've had in a long time. We were looking it up before the show. If Duke doesn't make the tournament,
They won't.
hopefully, but if they don't make the
I hope they
tournament,
do, but they
it'll be
won't.
the third time that Coach K hasn't made the tournament. First time since 95.
and 82.
Yeah, in 82.
95
So
and 82.
it's been a weird year. Obviously, you got the COVIDs and all the stupid shit that's going on. But the fact that
It doesn't
Duke,
make you like
it's no
bad at
excuse.
basketball.
That's
It doesn't
okay.
make you bad at basketball.
Listen. I hate Duke. I'll shit on Duke all day. I think Coach K is a snake. I'm waiting for him to finally get his day.
I think he's a rat. He's
But
got a
like
rat face.
like I was trying to
like
say, I want to talk
You
about
do.
how
Yeah, I know you would.
I want to talk about how
thought you
the
would.
Patriots traded for Trent Brown because Joe Stradamus, not Tan Stradamus, Joe Stradamus, another prediction's coming to me. Jimmy Garoppolo back in
Oh,
New
yeah,
England.
he'll be back there in 2 weeks.
Yep.
I
I'm guaranteeing
fully
it.
agree with
Just
that.
like Deshaun Watson will eventually go to the Broncos. I've been saying that for like 3 weeks now, but it's going to happen. But Jimmy G is coming back. When you see Bill Belichick trading for a big left tackle, that means he's scheming something. He's got something in his back pocket.
And they've got a ton of cap space too.
yeah, and I think it
which
might
is
be
weird for them.
They might
I mean,
trade Stephon Gilmore for him, which I'm a little wishy-washy about.
Well, I mean,
But the thing is, he is aging. I think that Belichick always loves to get rid of a guy a year too
Yeah.
early before a year too late. So I think Stephon Gilmore for Jimmy G, I think, is a mutually
well,
beneficial
it's the same
trade.
thing. Being a Steeler fan, would we trade T.J. Watt for Deshaun Watson?
Well, you
And
love
a
Big
couple-
Ben. You think he's gonna
No,
be
I
legit coming
didn't
back?
say I love. I do love Big Ben. I mean, I do.
Yeah,
What he's
because
an
how can you rape a
organization.
mouth? Am I right?
Exactly. that's old school.
Meanwhile, they're fucking taking selfies
They
over
just-
here.
yeah, they-
Yeah.
Are we gonna take
It's
a little
very-
selfie?
I'm just
together?
gonna root for
That's
Tom
eighth
Brady
grade.
for the next
Yeah,
Super
let's
Bowl, bro.
go. Let's
yeah,
go.
That's all
I
I'm
mean, I
doing.
feel bad.
Oh,
yeah.
my God.
I
Yes.
asked him before the show about his favorite football player. He mentions Tom Brady, and Tansy
Yeah.
rolled his
Oh,
eyes
dear
so hard
God.
they went behind his head,
Yeah.
and he had to walk away to readjust so he could
Yeah.
see
I
again.
mean, your upbringing, Hamody. I mean,
Yes.
as tough as it was, you picked the biggest pussy in football.
Okay,
to
he had
be
a
your
come up-
superhero. Yeah, oh yeah.
I disagree, man.
Yeah, no, man.
Tom Brady is a
no.
legend, whether
He
we
is a
like it or
legend.
not.
No, I had to kiss a ring. I had to kiss a friggin' ring.
and I
And
hate
a
when
tramp
they say
stamp.
when
And
they
look,
say he's cheating.
yeah.
He ain't cheating. He won by like a lot of points against Mahomes.
yeah,
I mean,
he did.
that's one thing. That, you
no,
know, when you,
I said he's the greatest quarterback ever.
Yeah.
I do
but to
not
call him
deny
a
it.
pussy, listen. First of
No.
all, you are what you eat. Secondly, he has the ultimate
I'm-
come up story.
And I'm going to
okay?
tell you this, man. Tom Brady
Dude,
is
you have the
best
ultimate
player
come-up
of all
story.
time. And I can tell you definitely that guy smoked weed. For
Tom
sure.
Brady?
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
speaking of
Not
weed,
anymore. He doesn't even
He
eat
does.
strawberries.
do they
When
have
you-
good weed in Iraq?
I'll tell you why. Because when you get to the field and the biggest game of your life,
Yeah.
and you don't give a fuck, you're just walking around like you're taking a walk with your dog.
Yeah.
That guy smokes weed.
Yeah.
I
Do
think
they have
he's-
weed? Do they have weed in Iraq?
They do.
Are you allowed to smoke it in Iraq?
No, you'll go to jail.
Really?
Yes.
That's strange.
That's not very progressive.
Because don't you have hashish there?
The only
Don't you have
difference is
opium
that
there, don't you?
What's the
they'll
difference?
put you in jail because they think it's really bad for you. It's not like America where they want to make money and it's about tax. It wasn't about health.
Sure,
because American government could care less about your life.
No.
But
True.
Yeah, so it's a big
Triple mask.
different goals. But cocaine, it's a very dangerous in the Middle East, especially Afghanistan is probably the biggest manufacturer for cocaine in the Middle East. That's why those Talibans kind of like show up to fight, and
the opium.
they don't have
It's
a
funny,
plan
the opiates
to back
are-
up because
See, if
literally
they
they're
just
all
did
high.
psychedelics, they probably wouldn't
Yeah.
be so aggressive. Are there psychedelics in Iraq?
No,
Is that a thing?
They don't have anything else but cocaine,
Ayahuasca, psilocybin?
and that's all it is.
Yeah, I bet if they just took a trip. You were saying, you think, probably joking, but you think Tom Brady smokes weed because he's so zen, cool,
He's cool,
calm, and
yeah.
collected.
He's calm.
I don't think he smokes weed. What I think he does is meditate.
Well, you haven't done his blood test, so
I do
Hey.
think he's on a little something that's
he only needs
flying
2
under
weeks
the radar.
to come clean, bro.
What's what do you got new for you, Terrace Whisperer? You got
Yeah.
the book. The book's out. I've read the book. I've had the
Yeah.
book signed by you. I gave that away. Bought another one. The Amazon Prime. I pump that up all the time. The Terrace Whisperer. Anything else big coming up in your life?
Honestly, the movie has been
As if you haven't
the
done
biggest
enough?
success out there. The documentary is the first military intelligence documentary to be released to the public, and it's his 177 5 stars on Amazon.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's awesome.
Nice.
It's amazing. I'm thankful for all the success and I directed my own movie as a filmmaker. So
Humble brag.
It was great because I wanted to make that paycheck. I didn't want anybody else to.
Sure.
So I'm really happy
And
to
that
see where the
started
movie
You
is.
started your own business through that.
Literally, I mean, I before becoming who I became. I mean, look, when I was born in Iraq, my plan was not to be a spy for the U.S. intelligence. I wanted to go be a filmmaker.
Really?
And I couldn't do it. The war took
Shit.
me into a different
Now you're living your dream.
section. So when I came to the United States, honestly, that was an opportunity for me to either hire, because I was the producer of my own film. I was paying for the movie to be done. So I was given the choice to direct it. It was a very dangerous move to direct something that big with the CIA director in it, with all the intelligence. It's the first time something like this going out to the public. So it was really, it took me about 2 years really training, planning for it. And it's doing great now. People don't really know who is directing that movie. They're more focusing on my life. And they don't realize that I'm actually the director of my own movie.
I
So,
watched the documentary. I thought it was
Yeah.
great. But say they make like a real movie
Yeah.
of your story.
That
Who
actually a real
plays?
movie.
Who plays
Who
you?
plays you?
Oh,
That's
it's
a
got to be
great
Orlando
question.
Bloom.
Stormy Daniels. Yes. No,
Okay.
I'm kidding.
Ron
I'm kidding.
Jeremy.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
He's been canceled. I think.
Yeah.
I think,
Cancel culture got him. He's done.
I had been approached by Hollywood before about selling the movie rights. I'm very careful about what I do.
Yep.
Because I don't want somebody to go and portray
Misrepresent you.
a different story
Yeah.
because I signed a contract. So
That's what Hollywood does,
I
they
was-
lie.
I was offered a $500,000 if I signed a contract.
It's not enough.
And I knew that once I signed a contract, this was going to be used against the president of the United States because of my background. I was born a Muslim. So Hollywood has its own agenda with what
course
they want
they
to do.
do.
I would not let it become a motion picture, which what you meant, unless I'm guaranteed that I'm able to tell the story the way it is.
Well,
that's what makes it so nice about documentary because
Yeah.
Can you
you're-
do GoFundMe?
You're showing the real footage. You're showing the what really happened. And I never said that in public before, but in 2016, my movie rights were sold to a production company, and 9 months later, I found out they were going to use that against President Trump in his election in 2016. And that was the last thing I want to see is my story get involved in politics.
Yeah.
These people were more interested that I was born a Muslim versus what I did in Iraq. So I didn't want to be used as a tool.
That's identity
a lot of
politics
people would be
101.
happy to if they were in my situation because they'll be making a lot more money. But I don't want my story to be used for.
So say you're in charge then. You're in charge of
charge.
everything.
Well, I own all my rights.
Who's playing you? Who do you handpick?
I would say the guy that
The guy for 365 days.
No, the guy that did the movie. What's it called? Rami Malek, the guy that did
Who did?
Oh, yeah.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yep.
Okay.
Rhapsody, yeah.
But
Oh,
that's
shit.
the only guy
Can you
really
sing
would
like
fit
Freddie
at all.
Mercury?
Actually, yeah.
Because he's Egyptian, he speaks Arabic.
Yeah.
There it is.
He
Yeah,
does
that
have
was good.
similar looks, so he'll be the only guy.
Chef Puhak, why don't you
Yeah.
bring this Iraqi food in here? You've been working
gonna
on it
switch
hard
out.
all day, doing what Chef
Damn.
Joseph does. Let's eat this shit.
Puts the cunt in conspiracy cuisine.
Yes.
A little bit of a stretch there, but
And
hey,
if-
I'm trying,
If Al
right?
Qaeda paid you to put poison in my food, you better be making a good check.
Oh,
Better
man,
be a good
this
last
is
meal.
Amazing.
Notice how they get it first.
I'm gonna be the first, man, because this is my home country stuff.
Oh shit.
Hold on.
I hope you're going to be the toughest critic on them, though.
I am. I'm told him that I was gonna be honest.
But go easy on him. Let us not forget that his crab dip did lose the whole dip off.
Yeah, but it was because I made it, probably. Oh, wow.
I just wanted to give you a little jab since you're sitting down.
The fucking comedian Clay was talking about his penis and toes.
Oh,
and
you
all
had to
that
bring it up,
bullshit.
didn't you?
That's my
Boston
fault.
Joe?
That was my
Had
fault.
to bring
Jesse
it up.
brought him in. He was hired. I'm just gonna say that. Well, moving on.
Wow, what's the meat?
Beef short ribs and ground beef.
I've never had a beef short rib that was that tender before.
Tender.
So like Hamody said, it takes a long time of cooking, and the recipe that I wrote for this is like there was like 50% vegetables and 50% meat. There was a lot of vegetables cooked in this meat, and that's really the star of the show is like all the seasonings that go into this, man, because this is so simple.
So I'm sorry if I go hard on you right now.
Go hard on me.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna make my statement
Do it.
as an Iraqi.
Now I went off the rails a little bit.
I'm sorry ahead of time.
Reaction.
I'm sorry ahead of time. You fucking nailed it, dude. Yes, you did. You can see I already ate the whole thing.
Thank you, brother.
Man, it's so good. The rice is wonderful.
So here's one thing that I have to add for you.
Do it. I'm not Iraqi, so I don't know.
Yeah, no. So you might want to go a little extra with the beef inside the vegetables,
More beef.
because that really what gives it the.
Where's the
taste.
beef?
Yeah, I like.
There is some, but I think you just need to go more on that. And
I like more
the
meat.
taste. The most important. This is first time for you making
God,
this,
this is
right?
incredible.
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever made dolma. Ever.
What do I do with this thing?
You use it as a utensil, brother.
Yeah, dude.
I'll
Do
show
you think they
I'll show
got
you.
forks and knives in Iraq?
So you take this.
Do they have forks and knives in Iraq?
Teach him, Hamody.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
Put it in,
Yeah,
right?
that.
It's like an Iraqi taco.
So yes, take whatever it is, put it inside, and make your own taco. That's how they eat it overseas.
And they'll use it to pick it up like this, Joe.
So they do have tacos in Iraq. They just
Well-
cover them up.
We don't have Mexicans though, so. But
Is that good or bad?
that's actually
I'm just kidding. Don't even answer.
we appreciate our restaurants overseas.
Yeah, I'd
Honestly,
like to see if there's a Mexican restaurant. over there.
Mexican and Italian food, like I was talking.
Do they
with
have
Chef
sit down?
Puhak before
Do
the
they
back.
have sit down restaurants in Iraq? Is that like here in the United States? They have like fast food and shit.
Eric,
Yeah.
it's a modern country. We do have stuff, man.
I didn't know.
Yeah. Some people ask me like if we have anything in our. We have everything
Except forks, and knives.
except for fork and knives. Yes, because we eat with our hands, as you can see. That's a typical Iraqi.
Yeah.
Right there, which you are. I mean, I don't know what that is. That's like a typical redneck.
Also
right there.
napkins. There they are. The paper towels. I love to crumple paper towels up into a little ball. It's my thing.
Yeah, yeah. I don't fold. Whoever folds is
I
weird.
think people are
I
going to
don't
enjoy
fold,
this
crumple.
meal a lot.
Well, brother, it's
Wow.
the first time I've ever cooked Middle East food for a tailgate, and I was
This
pretty
is really
fired
good.
up to do it. You gave me 3 options. I picked what I thought was the
You
hardest.
picked up the hardest one.
And
Yeah.
you know, it for the listeners that are foodies on here, it's not that involved, man. I mean, there's a lot of steps you have to take, but really, we're just eating beef and rice and a lot of different vegetables, right? You can do this. If I can barely put one foot in front of the other. If I can do it, you can do it. You know?
Well, we did this at a tailgate. I mean, we're set up, as you can see on the YouTube video. I mean, this
used
is
a
a tailgate.
Blackstone
We're
grill.
outside. We're on a grill. We're with our friends. We're drinking brewskis
With legends, baby.
with legends. Man, this food is incredible.
Thank you, guys.
So let me ask you this while you're stuffing your face with some food. You've when you were 12 and Saddam's army captures you, Clinton is in office.
I have no idea who was the president.
You don't know?
I didn't know.
What year was it?
It was back in '98.
90 is that Bill? Slick Willie?
Yeah.
I have no
Yeah.
idea who was the president. back
So
then.
so
I mean, you're talking. We didn't even have TVs or radio.
Sure,
Like,
sure.
I wouldn't know.
So, as someone who's been there, done that, and seen the shit in Iraq, come to America, assimilated, seen a couple different presidents now. I know we hate them all. All politicians suck. They can all get fucked. We know that.
All
but
politicians are cunts.
all politicians.
AIPAC.
Shout out to Dan Holloway. But who do you think has handled what's going on in Iraq and in the Middle East the best out of all the presidents, from Bush, Clinton, Obama, Trump, and Sleepy Joe?
You can never give Bush, because Bush was basically at a war in Iraq. So I mean, you got to give Bush some credit for facing one of the most brutal enemy in Iraq. I mean, look, Al Qaeda at the time in Iraq was a death machine. We lost more people in the short term of fighting in Iraq than we did in Afghanistan. We've been in Afghanistan longer. We only lost about 1,000 to 1,200 people in Afghanistan, but we lost 4,000 people in Iraq during a very short period. So you got to give Bush the credit for having military campaigns against a guerrilla enemy that's pretty strong, been really skilled. But I don't think politic-wise, I don't think...
No, it's him, not you.
I don't think politically or foreign policy-wise that he was successful as much. Obama did all right for what's inside of the country. He wasn't successful in foreign policy because some of these people in the Middle East, if you're weak, if you treat them nicely, they'll eat you alive. It's a very big psychology in the Middle East, and he didn't have that charisma to be good at foreign policy. I'm not saying Obama wasn't good at other things. He was. And I have to say, the only person that was good in foreign policy, which was shocking for me, was President Trump, because I didn't expect that from Trump when he was running for office.
Well, what about Jared Kushner? I'm sure he has something to do with that, too.
I thought Trump was going to be the biggest dumbass when he was going to, before he would become
At times he was, though.
I mean, he was.
I agreed.
But when
on
he
Twitter,
came
he
in,
sure was.
When he came in, he hired the right people, and look what happened in Iraq. Trump took office. ISIS was controlling about 35% of Iraq. It was the first time in history radical Islamic organization claimed the state, which is a country. They were in Syria, they were in Iraq, and they were claiming a whole state. When Trump took office, all that was demolished. ISIS was defeated. He supported the Iraqi people, gave them what they needed. So I would say Trump was the most successful in foreign policy, which is something the media does not want to. They don't want to give Trump the credits because they hate him so much. But we have to be fair at a certain point and give each person their positives and negatives. And I think Trump was the best in foreign policy.
Interesting. So how about this now? So when 9/11 happens, where are you?
I was in Iraq.
So what was it like being in Iraq? I mean, how did you hear about it? You talked about there wasn't really news and TV and stuff.
I mean, they had two TV channels that was running in Iraq. Unfortunately,
Al Jazeera is...
yes. No, Al Jazeera wasn't allowed at the time. It was only Saddam, 2 channels.
Oh, okay.
Al Jazeera was allowed after 2003. 9/11, you can say some people were happy that thing happened because they were radical Islamists and they support bin Laden and they look at bin Laden as their iconic figure. Some people were sad, but they're not allowed to show that because then Saddam will beat the hell out of you if you're sympathizing with America. It was a different experience, man. I think that was the first time seeing what radical Islamists can do. For me, that was like shocking because I live under a dictatorship, but that dictatorship does not kind of support radical Islamists in a way. They're not. They're more different mentality. However, 9/11, I think, was just one day of what happens in the Middle East every single day. I think this is new. This is shocking for Americans.
Yes.
But this is what goes on every single day. These guys kill people every single day. So for me, it was nothing new. It was just an attack on America versus what's happening in the Middle East. So,
who was more dangerous, bin Laden or Saddam?
of course, Saddam, he was much more powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the president of the country. He had more resources.
Even though bin Laden had, like, you know, all these extremist groups kind of on his side, you'd say Saddam was more a dangerous figure.
Bin Laden was more of a fantasy guy. He was a fanatic.
Off in the fringe.
He wanted to, he went to Afghanistan and changed the whole entire country religion and made them into the radical people that unfortunately the Talibans are today.
He was harder to find.
So bin Laden is different. And Saddam was a president of a country. He was a dictator. He has an army. He has intelligence. He has everything. So it's two different people, but they're both killers in a certain way. Yeah. And one is radical Islamist, one is not. One that drinks beer at the end of the night.
I feel like Saddam was probably more of a prominent figure with him being the president of the entire country. You know, he didn't have to hide, whereas
bin Laden is
in some fucking cave or
and eat
At the end,
potatoes
Saddam was
and eat
hiding.
potatoes for
He
the
was
whole
hiding
year.
in a fucking-
And they're both
He
hiding.
was hiding in a little.
Eat potatoes for the whole year, man. That's bin Laden. I gotta say, the living conditions that he was in It was crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, he was built for that. The Afghan people are strong, resilient human beings. They're like Native American Indians.
Yeah.
In the ways is that they know the land, they live on the land, they can do anything on that land. You're in their you're it's their world.
Their
we were
house.
just simply visiting it. They were not spoiled by anything. Those folks can stay out in the coldest of weather or the hottest of weather and not give two fucks because that is where they have been raised.
They slept on desert floors.
Yes, and so they were well trained to sleep on the floor of a hotel room in Austin. You uncultured fuck. This show has been very interesting.
Yeah.
Hamody, this has been one of the
an honor,
most
man.
fun
pleasure,
tailgates. Definitely went in directions I did not see it going, but we had a great time with you, man. Look, if you're on Amazon Prime, please download The Terrorist Whisperer. Get the book on Amazon, The Terrorist Whisperer.
The movie's Amazon too.
The movies on Amazon. This show today was brought to you by Copper Still Records. They are the ones who make us look beautiful. They make us sound beautiful. They make sure that we're here on time.
I want to give a shout out to Noel,
Okay.
who doesn't get enough credit.
I agree.
I think that without Noel, none of this would happen. He's probably the most important person of the
He's
whole
our
show.
voice.
Yeah.
Just want to give a thank you and a shout out to Noel, our producer. He's the best.
and
Best
then-
in the
Noel.
business.
You know, we also have Buddha over there. We give Buddha
He's
a
all
lot
right,
of
too.
shit all the time, but Buddha really is, he's on the phone constantly. He's trying to figure out what we're going to talk about, who we're going to talk to, getting all the sponsors lined up. And so without our crew, we would not be where we're at right now. Obviously, Drinking Bros, Ross Patterson, Dan Holloway, Jesse Wiseman, Fake Dan, Papa Giorgio, all the homies, Hot Bob, all the homies back in Austin that get this show up on YouTube. And also Owen, our graphics guy out of Wilmington. Everybody plays a key role in this, and we couldn't be more thankful to be on this show. Chef Puhak for coming out here tonight and making this just
Amazing meal.
Just amazing meal. There's
Thank you.
nobody else
Very
can do
good.
that. You know, we have guest chefs that come on
You can
here.
see that. You can see empty plate. Empty plate right there.
Tastes like
You
shit,
know,
right?
Nah, I
empty
crushed
plate.
it. I
But there's
crushed
only
it.
one man that can show up to a tailgate with all the equipment and really just kind of produce
Thank you, brother.
extremely fine cuisine, and we're just
Thank you,
so
brother.
excited to be here with you guys tonight. Until
Likewise.
next time, folks. This is Drinking Bro Sports Tailgate Legend Show. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.